How did your career in the MLS come to an end?
I was told I was not good enough. They told me, hey, we're making a different, we need your roster spot. We're bringing in another midfielder. You're out of here. So I
That
thought I had a
directly.
4-minute conversation, packed up my locker and left.
The world is obsessed with fast-track success. It's easy to think that people become successful overnight. But let's face it, more often than not, what we see on social media is total BS. I'm here to look past the perception of perfect success and focus on life's detours, perceived mistakes, and even wrong choices, and understand the real road traveled up the career ladder. After all, we're all effing up.
Lyle Adams is the CEO of Spry, a software solution designed specifically for athletic organizations. Before founding Spry, Lyle worked at both Uber and Living Social. He completed his undergraduate degree from Wake Forest University and his graduate degree from Columbia University. In his spare time, Lyle loves to solve the Rubik's Cube. Lyle, welcome. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to share my story. I've been following you. So excited we could finally do this.
Why don't you share what you're up to in your career today?
I sell software to colleges, specifically college athletic departments. Spry, my company, is an athletics management platform that college and college athletic departments deploy to manage their paperwork, scheduling, facilities, roster management, calendar, and recruiting functionality. So right now we work with over 100 colleges across the country, which has been pretty crazy. The first year we had 4 customers, and we're in year 3, we have 100. So in between, it's been...
I'm curious if there's anything from your childhood in the way you were raised, an experience that makes you connect your young self with your work self.
I'm the son of immigrants. So my parents were born in Jamaica, and I was actually born in Jamaica, but we relocated when I was 20 months old. My little sister was born in the States. I became naturalized. My parents conveyed that effort was one thing you could change on your own. Circumstances and opportunities might not be your decision, but you can change your effort. Looking at sports, maybe we lose the game, but did you play hard? I could control it. I control my input. I couldn't control the output, because at the end of the day, my parents would always ask if I played soccer or basketball, or even like a test, did you do your best? If the answer was yes, my parents were okay. If the answer were no, they would ask, why did you not prepare? Did you not put enough time? And if the answer was yes to those subsequent questions, they would say, you can control that. I expect more from you. I wasn't forced to do anything as a child. But if I started something, I would have to finish. So I didn't like it. I started it. My mom said, you signed up. You have to finish it.
When did you start playing soccer?
At the age of 5. I naturally loved playing soccer. I played all growing up. I don't remember the specific moment I decided to be a professional soccer player. My professional soccer journey was fortuitous. The junior year of high school is important for college recruiting. Going into my junior year, my club soccer team broke up. One of our coaches went to law school. Another coach, unfortunately, his student visa expired, so he had to go back to Europe. And our team manager, his son, ended up going to the U.S. National Team Academy.
Oh, wow.
So the 3 people holding us together went their separate ways. I had to change teams. We fell through the cracks of college recruiting because we didn't go to tournaments. When I was looking at colleges, the places I wanted to play soccer didn't know who I was. So I ended up reaching out to a ton of schools asking for a walk-on opportunity. I went to Wake Forest, and the coach there, Jay Vinovich, was forever grateful. I came by his office on new student orientation day and said, hey, I want to play soccer. Obviously, he was a bit taken aback by this request. Wake is a top 10 soccer program in the country. So he's like, we don't ever do this, but I appreciate your guile. Let me check some references or resources. So he called my ODP coach in Florida, who was college teammates with our assistant. He said, hey, the kid's a good player. I recruited him here, but he wanted to go to a good school and play in the ACC. So I was given a chance to walk on, and I told I would never dress or play. I was a 4-year starter, top 5 in games played and games started in school history. We won a national championship.
Let's go back to junior year when everything fell apart. Do you remember what that felt like?
I was a bit frustrated, not in the situation. When I was given the opportunity to walk on, I told some people, many were quite, I don't think you can play there, you're not good enough. That was fuel to the fire about wanting to prove people wrong. But it was somewhat hurtful in that some of those comments from people who I didn't expect to hear those comments from them.
Were there challenges while you were playing soccer?
Challenges going from high school to college, especially an ACC soccer program, the level of intensity was anything I wasn't used to. I played in a good high school district in Florida. We had a good team. We won districts every year. We played good opponents. But the level of training in college was 10x. Every practice was hard my first year.
On top of education.
Education, getting used to classes by yourself, juggling that kind of
That's a lot.
physical demands and physical and mental demands while you're trying to figure out who you are in college was hard my freshman year.
Did you have time for social life?
You had time for social life, but the juggling was difficult. My GPA my freshman year was the worst it was all 3 years of college, by far. Like it was a lot. You're trying to be cool. I was never physically tired in high school when I had to do homework. In college, I was exhausted because practice was so much more intense.
Yeah.
Like
did you say 3 years of college?
I finished in 3.5 years. MLS used to hold their draft in early January. So if you wanted to play professionally, you tried to accelerate your 4 years, 8 semesters into 7. Or you would take summer school.
Additional pressure.
You take summer school.
How about your ego? Did you find any effects when you got into college soccer?
Yes and no. For the first year of many, you were like the cool person in your high school as a senior. You go to college, everyone just starts back on the ground floor.
Right.
Like you're back on the ground floor again. And it like takes getting used to. I was somewhat benefits from being on the soccer team, but I was the best player in my high school soccer team. And I'm struggling to show my value on this college soccer team because everyone is good.
And plus you in a different way or got
it in a different way. So obviously I had to prove myself to all these guys who were recruited to play soccer.
Yeah.
I just showed up like, who is this kid? I had to earn my keep. When you started playing and becoming a bit cooler, staying humble, sometimes you got beat up because you were young. So I think my ego was up and down.
What was the draft process like for you?
I didn't really know much going into it. I didn't have the anticipation of becoming a pro soccer player. I didn't expect that to happen. But we didn't have an agent. An agent found us. We didn't know the process. No one in the family had gone through it. Our college coach could help as much as possible, but he had 8 guys going through the same process. So it's kind of tough. So it could have been better. I had done my research in that I knew MLS salaries at the time were not great. When I graduated, league minimum for a senior was $18,500. They ratified a new CBA during my rookie year, which bumped it to 30. My initial desire was to play overseas after college because I knew my MLS career was going to be tight, making $30,000 or $18,000 in big cities. Whereas Europe, the salary might have only been $30,000. But they would pay for housing and car, and you'd have a lot more incentives. I signed a contract, and the club I was with filed the paperwork wrong, and the transfer window closed. So I couldn't play there. Then I went to another club, and they had more administrative issues, and I couldn't play there. So I ended up coming back. That was very tough to understand at that age.
Understand at any age.
No, but
arguably, that wouldn't feel good ever.
I was angry, bitter, somewhat lost. I knew everyone would see my decision as a failure because it was tough. So I came back and I played USL, which was the league underneath MLS for a year. I don't think I was in a good mental place for them because I was still bitter about Europe. That's a brat, if I'm being honest, for half the season. I came out of that towards the end, and I then went to play MLS for 6 months. Playing against 18 to 22-year-olds is different now. Playing against 27-year-olds, 28-year-olds. Going from college into pros, it's just fast. Everyone is strong. I knew I had to get a job post pro soccer because the salaries weren't great. It was a matter of time. It was not a if, it was a matter of when. On the flip side, I honestly believe that me having that pragmatic approach might have hindered my pro soccer career. If I had said, this is the only thing that I could ever do for the rest of my life, maybe I still play soccer. I don't know. I knew it was only going to be for a period of time based on the pay. I'm making $28,000 a year and I'm trying to pay rent. I got to get a job. So long story short, I think soccer was wonderful, but it wasn't easy. Like everyone always sees how much pro athletes get paid. That's the best of the best that get paid that. Most athletes do not make a fraction of that. I think the average salary in the NFL is $335,000 is the average salary in the NFL, which is crazy when you have quarterbacks who make 50 million. If they're making 50 million, you can do the math to see where the bulk of those players now are making.
Yeah.
It's not that much, and that money is not really guaranteed. And you have to put a lot of time and effort into your craft. And I can't tell you how many birthday parties I missed or weddings early on because they happen on weekends. And when you play pro sports, your work is on the weekends. You miss all these social events.
How did your career in the MLS end?
I was told I was not good enough. They told me, hey, we're making a different, we need your roster spot. We're bringing in another midfielder. You're out of here.
Directly.
4-minute conversation, packed up my locker and left. They signed someone the next day and he had my number there. I had to go, I was in shock, 4-minute conversation.
Ooh. Do you remember the conversation vividly?
It was like a blur. Hey, Lyle, can we talk? We really like when you bring, you're a great guy on the team, but we need your roster spots. We're going to cut you. You go on waivers now. If you clear waivers in 72 hours, you're free to sign with any other team. If a team now picks you up off the waivers, they're going to pick up your salary and you got to move. That was a conversation. I was like, okay, thank you.
Shock.
Like it was shock. I thought I had a couple of good sessions before that. If you had told me I was going to get cut, I would have said 6 weeks before. I felt like I was playing really good at that time where I was working hard and training. I was getting better. I was getting stronger. I was feeling more confident. But that wasn't the case. I was in the back end of the roster and they needed a spot, so they went another way.
So how does the next week look when you think back and you think about
I'm in a bad place. I went to Salt Lake on a trial right after and was shocked. It was the abruptness and the manner it was done caught me off guard. I understand why it was done. I didn't understand the business of sports at that time. I think that brutality, like I know it might be an overreach of a word, but that succinct firing, just boom, you're done, gave me a different perspective to work. I was 22 and it's made me really understand business is business. But the next week I was in a good place. I was sad. I was depressed. I went to there on trial. I didn't play well mentally as a result, all over the place.
In every aspect of life, friendships, romantic relationships, work, if something's about to come to a close, you want the opportunity to correct. I can imagine being in shock because you're like, whoa, what about the warnings? If you had told me I wasn't kicking right or I wasn't doing this right, I would have put effort there. And if you said, oh, nope, you put work to it and you're still exactly where we thought you were going to be or you didn't prove enough, then you'd be like, cool, out, done. I expected this. Just sitting here, I'm like, damn.
A lot of my teammates also were honest. Just a few of the guys on DC at United at the time were like mentors. They took care of some of the younger guys. And a lot of them were shocked about, they let me go in that manner. They go, you're great. You're great in the locker room. You took it seriously. You never complained. You always worked hard. Yeah, like you have to get better, but I would have cut other people before you, if I'm being honest. And that was for my teammates. Obviously, I could take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they were being great friends and should have lifted me up. But
does that help you feel better or does that make you feel worse?
You don't really know. That put me in a bad spot. It took me a few months to recover. But when I recovered, I was at peace. I said, my soccer career is over. Because I played the league below MLS for a year, didn't like it. I said, I gave it my best and it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets. But the next challenge then was trying to transition from being an athlete to corporate life. My career ended in the summer of 2010. But for those who recall, 2010 was the middle of the financial crisis, coming out of the tail end of the subprime. It wasn't a great job market.
No, it was not.
It was not a great job market. And especially for someone who didn't have a lot of internship or work experiences. I had played soccer in high school and college. My summers were tournaments and travel, maybe a soccer camp here or there. Some of my classmates had internships at Golden or like these really great things where I just had nothing. I had bare bones. It was really hard now to get a job. So I'm now pounding the pavement, reaching out, cover letter after cover letter, interview, phone screen, you name it, I'm trying everything. It took me 6 months to land a job. That transition was harder than the breakup with soccer. I'm sending a resume, I might get a yes, I might get a no.
And you have no control over it.
I might get an email back and like, Like, you do a phone screen, you think it went positively, and you don't hear anything for 6 weeks, and you're like, okay. It was tough applying for different jobs, changing sectors, so not getting hit.
How did you even know what to do? You ended up in a recruiting role. How did you target what to apply for?
My aunt was wonderful. She was a college professor and worked on my resume. We did interview prep work. We had a big conversation about industries I should target. Because I was casting a wide net. Anything entry level I was applying for. She's like, you got to be a bit more targeted. I was looking for junior level analyst roles. So that I was good with numbers. I love statistics in college. I was an econ major, comfortable with analytical. I was thinking banking, entry level consulting. My aunt recommended me try tech. She's like, hey, I've heard positive things about tech. Tech is not really as focused or concerned about where you went to school and what your internships were. They're looking for smart, hungry people. And maybe that might work out for you. So I ended up applying to tech jobs, and I was fortunate to get a job at Living Social. My soccer career played a big role in that. He goes, oh man, you played for DC United. That's super cool. I saw you at a game. That's how the conversation started. I'm going to take a chance on you. The role they wanted me to fill was a recruiting analyst. And that was my foray into corporate life. It was really my first job.
And once you got into a corporate role versus a soccer role, did you have difficulties acclimating?
I thought work was easier than professional sports. There's very few circumstances the brutality of pro sports exists in the corporate world. You got HR. You make a joke like they're going to put you on a plan and tell you to improve before they can you. Well, unless you have a workforce reduction, which you can't control. But for the most part, most companies try to be a bit more thoughtful if they can. And even if you have a change in business plan or widespread layoffs, you might get a severance package. I got none of that when I stopped playing. It was just like, hey, Lyle,
Peace.
deuces, right? You can grab your stuff, money to get your cleats if you want, but you got to go. Working at a startup early on, like you had a lot of people who were passionate, how we would work hard, which I really resonated for me. I could go out a week for a drink. You never really did that when you played pro soccer.
Why did you leave Living Social for Uber?
Wasn't the right fit. Full disclosure, I had issues with management. Obviously, there's two sides to every story, and there's the actual truth. I always put a lot of effort into my job, whereas my manager told me I could have done more. He thought I wasn't working hard enough. I completely disagree with that. A long story short, we had a report that I ran that he didn't like the outcome. And then some other things that, hey, I wish you could work harder. And I disagree with that. So the plan was now to put me on a PIP. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. You say I'm not working hard. I completely fundamentally disagree because I am working hard. If you want me to be here anymore, that's a totally separate story. But now trying to question my level of output, I just fundamentally didn't agree with. For context, we had a person teaching me a technical skill at the time. He had resigned. So I was now forced to teach myself. And I was like, hey, can I get reimbursed for some classes? They go, we can't reimburse you for these classes. I was like, that's uncool, especially since the person who was teaching me abruptly quit. I realized a few months later why he abruptly quit. At the time, it was, hey, this is not for me. When faced with either fighting the PIP or looking for another job, I told HR, here's my resignation. I'll transition to my work, but I just fundamentally don't agree with this because no one's ever told me I haven't worked hard in my life. If my work needs to get better or the quality is not good enough for your expectations, tell me we can now fix that. But you say you don't think I'm focused enough or putting enough in, I disagree with it. That's what drove me to leave. It was tough that I wasn't upset about my decision to leave.
You sound pragmatic. Is that how it was at the time?
I was emotional when they said, I'm going to put you on a PIP. And I was like, excuse me? I left the HR world. So I was aware of the PIPs. And I'm like, okay, like the PIPs that we're putting other employees on, or at least the sales workers, they're not meeting goals or KPIs, which I fully understand. What you're now trying to say my goal or KPI is, I don't really think it now exists as such. So I didn't think the PIP was warranted. So that was emotional.
Yeah.
But after I made the decision to leave and I did some research, I was like, sorry, I can't sign that because I don't agree with it. If I now wasn't working hard or trying my best, totally separate thing. But I'm now trying to learn stuff on the weekends. I'm not getting paid to work on weekends. I'm buying all this stuff on my own. I didn't think the playing field was fair.
You were at Uber for nearly 6 years, which included several role changes, which on paper looks fantastic. Was it up and to the right and fantastic? Is that how you describe it?
Like I grew as a person. I grew as a teammate. I grew as an employee. I learned. It pushed me. It challenged me. Unfortunately, some of my personal life stuff declined because I was working so much. Was it up and to the right business-wise? 110%. You were doubling consistently for my first 18 months. But was it hard? 110%. Software takes time to build. It's a lot easier to throw people at the problem short term than to build scalable software solutions. Some of the things that we had to encounter early on at Uber were very time taxing or tedious activities. For example, driver cancellations and rider cancellations were not automatically charged when I started, meaning that an employee had to now physically look at timestamps of when the trip was requested, when you canceled, or when the driver canceled, cross-reference now a customer account to see if they had a free cancellation, yes or no. If they had a free cancellation, you would then have to send them an email saying, hey, this is your free cancellation. Then email the driver says, hey, this is the customer's free cancellation. I'm not going to pay you. But if they had not received their free cancellation, you then had to go charge their credit card. That was an all Sunday activity going through cancellations. Now, when you cancel a trip, the system just spits out a receipt. That was a human being who was doing the on the back end when I started. Coming in on a Monday morning and you have 5,000 support tickets and there's 2 of you. That means you can't go home until support tickets are over. I'm going home at 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning to get some sleep because we have to crank out all the support tickets. And that wasn't easy, or being able to, hey, I can't go out tonight because I have to go work. So it wasn't always easy. You had leaders who would roll up their sleeves with you. I remember I got called into a project late. The CEOs there, the general counsels there, were all in a room together figuring this out. It was 1 a.m. Then I went home, went to bed, and they emailed my boss and they said, oh, thank you so much. I got a really nice note from the CEO. From my experience being a minority in a tech community, which is very rare at the time, I never felt ostracized or marginalized or not given the right chances. I was treated fairly. When I didn't get a promotion, I probably wasn't ready for the promotion. By looking at it now, I wasn't ready. And when I got
Did you feel that way?
the first one, no, but then I thought about it. It's actually the better decision for the whole of the team. I've always been a pragmatic person. So at first I was like, oh, I've been here longer. But then I was like, if I have to manage, I can't do A, B, and C. And I'm really good at doing A, B, and C. Whereas I lose that ability now if I have to manage.
Sounds like your experience was great. Why did you leave?
I wanted to do something that I had the sports background, being a former athlete, but now I had the tech chops working at a tech company. So I was like, hey, let me go find something else that I'm truly passionate.
Where did you land?
I landed in a small startup in Pasadena in the sports streaming space. Complete 180 from Uber. It was humbling.
This is Baller TV?
Yeah, it was very different, many different accords, without speaking ill of anything or the situation. This was before remote work was popular or supported. And that presented a lot of challenges for me, my bosses, whereas I never had the experience at Uber. And so that was challenging. So it was a great learning for me, saying, hey, how a refresher of how much hard work is necessary to be successful. You have to really cultivate or find product market fit. It was more challenging to get growth, and that's what led me to leave. Let me go back to grad school. And grad school was twofold. Until I went to grad school, I was the least educated in my family. My dad has a PhD, my mom has a master's in statistics, my little sister's a doctor. So my parents were giving me flack about not going back to grad school. And that kind of started back from the whole Uber thing. My mom didn't want me to take the Uber job. She wanted me to take another job that would have paid me double. And I'm 23 years old and go, I don't know, Mom. I pressed the button and an Escalade showed up. This Uber thing is cool. The pay is terrible, Lyle, compared to what these other companies pay. They don't offer me, I can't push the button and an Escalade. It's not
the upside.
I didn't even understand that. It's a totally separate conversation. But literally, it was just, I took a chance. My mom said, okay, if this Uber thing doesn't work out, like, promise me you'll go to grad school. I kept pushing grad school. After my experience at Ball, I was like, hey, let me go understand running a business. Because at Uber, you've had more of an operational MBA, more tactical, like how to run marketing campaigns, but more not really the theoretical side. Like, I wasn't privy to that. The other driving factor, I wanted to work in sports and SF. It wasn't really the sports capital New York City was. So it was going to be very hard for me to break into sports in any capacity in my eyes, unless I went back to grad school or I worked in sports. So I said, hey, let me go get my MBA at Columbia in sports management. I'm in New York City where all the leagues, agencies, brands are around sports. And I now can understand the business side of sports. Unfortunately, during grad school, COVID happened. It was a bummer. The beauty of grad school is networking and meeting people, going to events together. We did that for a few months, but then that was just gone.
You started fall 2019?
Yep. I knew things were bad when they told us not to come to class the week before spring break. And then from spring break, they said we were completely virtual. The Wednesday of 2020, whatever mid-March is, I believe Rudy Gobert got tested positive in the NBA. So classmates and I had tickets to the Big East tournament in New York City. We had bought opening day tournament, the whole day pass. It was great. We had a blast. One guy looks at me and says, "See you next week, usual time for coffee." I go, "Can't wait to see you." He left to go to Singapore that Sunday. I haven't seen him since because the borders were being closed all around the world. So he had to fly out ASAP. So
wow.
I was bummed. I'm sad because as we were hitting our groove, COVID happened. But during that period is where I somewhat came to the idea of Spry. I had a lot of free time. I stayed in New York by myself.
When you started school, Spry wasn't an idea yet. That came while you were in school.
Starting a company was completely not there. I had seen how much work you had to put in to make a company successful at Uber.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I want to do that. It's a lot of work. So that wasn't really my focus. During school, they passed the law where college kids could make money the first time ever. And people were asking, "Hey, Lyle, you were a college athlete, you played pro. What are your thoughts on this?" I started doing some thinking of this is actually really interesting because this could be a paradigm shift. This is going to force schools to adopt software because everything before was always top down. So COVID completely changed that from that interaction, and all the processes schools were using before required you to be in person. Now we work with over 100 schools. Wasn't that case when I started? It was hard. Like, once again, you go back to hearing no. Like, no one should start a company if you don't like hearing no. You hear way more no's than yeses.
Yeah, there's a lot of rejection. Yeah.
I think I had 58 meetings before my first signed customer.
Whoa.
That's a lot of no's.
That's a lot of no's. How did that feel?
It sucked, if I'm being honest. I knew it was a closed industry. It was just going to take time for someone to believe in what we were selling. People don't like new. It's too risky, and it's a risk-averse industry. It took time. As we matured, it went from now, okay, no one's responding. We're getting a couple meetings. It's positive. No one's telling us no. They're just going to announce a new partner that's not us. That kind of sucked, but now people tell us no. It's improving. It got better as the product matured, but it was tough. I believe we ended the first year with 4 customers. The following year, we were in the mid-20s. Last year, we were well into the 100. And you don't really have a company unless someone pays for your services. So like the first 6 months of me telling myself I had a company, no one was actually paying me for my services yet until we signed our first company. It was hard. The hardest part about being a solo founder is you have no one to talk to. You have to remain optimistic with your team and reports, and it's great, like the build camaraderie. Some days you just get beat up. Some days you get beat up and you have no one to talk to. My wife now dumped my stress on her. I thought it was unfair. If I had a shitty day, I don't want to take it out on her. So it was now challenging to figure out that. So you internalize a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then naturally, human nature is to default to, I've done something wrong if no one is buying. You start having self-doubts like, is my product bad? Was my research wrong? Did I miss something? Did I miscalculate? Why is no one buying? Where people are buying other things that aren't as robust as we are. So like naturally now the self-doubt starts creeping and you start comparing yourself to other people, which is never a good thing. And I'm fortunate enough I played soccer to realize you can't compare yourself to someone else.
You got to play your own game.
Exactly. The objective of soccer is to score more goals than your opponent. You could have one style of play, I could have a different style, but your style could dictate what the coach wants you to do. That kind of got me through I would say the early stages of not getting any customers. I still have my first check from my first paying customer. I framed it. I look at it like, man, it took a lot of meetings to get this check, right? I sit there and laugh about it, but it's in my office framed.
I want to quickly get to rapid fire questions. How do you define success?
I don't think there's one definition. Am I successful? Yes, because I've achieved everything I've wanted to. So I think success is challenging. I think success comes down to personal gratification, being goal-oriented, and finding fulfillment. If you check all 3 boxes, that is success for me.
What was your dream job when you were a very young child?
An astronaut. No questions asked.
Yeah, no hesitation there. What words would you use to describe your career?
non-traditional, exciting, engaging.
What company on your resume has turned the most heads?
Uber, followed by Major League Soccer.
All right. Those are my questions. Thanks, Lyle. I appreciate you sharing your story so vulnerably.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Effing Up. I'm your host, Deanne Reiner. If you enjoyed today's episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe on the platform you use to listen to podcasts. Share Effing Up with others, post about it on social media, and/or leave a rating and review. Until next time, count your perceived failures as part of your path to success. After all, we're all effing up.